Hey guys, how to talk to management. Keep it professional.
I'm sorry, you're fired. Get out of here. Right?
Are you kidding me, man?
What, are you kidding me?
You're kidding me. You gotta be kidding me.
Are you kidding me?
Don't use your cell phone, obviously. I know you guys do. But keep it short and sweet. There's some guys that were back and forth with management on the diet this week, and you're just giving them ammunition. They keep asking you the same question in different ways because they want to get a different answer or make you say something you're not supposed to. So I just like repeating the same phrase over and over. Case in point, there was a driver this week they kept bugging him about being 9.5, and I'm like, all right, well, you give him your ETA, and then they would ask him another way. Well, trying to reword it to get like a different answer out of him. I just kept telling them just use blanket statements. Just say I'm working a fair day's work for fair day's pay in the employer's best interests, and I'll be back when I'm done. Estimated, that's the big part with the ETA. The word estimate. Estimated time of arrival. If you have one, give it to them. If you don't, just say I'm not sure yet. When that thing pops up where you have to put a time in, just give your best guess, because that's all that is. I mean, you don't know at 2 o'clock, I guess they come through, what time you're going to be done if you got like heavy pickups and traffic, just a bunch of stuff. I mean, you might have like a decent idea, so just give them that. But that's all that is just an estimate. Don't say stuff like, what's my dispatch say? Because then you're just giving meaning and clout to the word dispatch when we don't recognize those numbers anyway. Just say, I'm working a fair day's work for fair day's pay in the employer's best interest, and I'll be in as soon as I can, safely. Well, this and that, I'm working a fair day's work for fair day's pay, blah, 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 and they're going to try to reword it and get something else. It's just petty bullshit. Just keep giving them the same blanket statement. Fair day's work, fair day's pay, employer's best interest. Be in as soon as I can, safely. And then they say something else, just ram that down their throat, and they'll get sick of talking because they know exactly what you just beat them with repetition. Beat them at their own game, because they're going to try to reword it and try to get you to say something else or slip up, So just talk to them like you would talk to the cops, which is the way you should talk to the cops. You get pulled over. You don't give them too much information.
Don't answer questions.
Oh, they about to kick some shit. 8 in the building, y'all. 12 is in the building.
You just say the very basic stuff. They ask a lot of questions they already know the answer to try to set you up. So just keep stuff short and simple. Short and simple. Stupid. And that's how you handle that one. Harassment, sometimes they can get a little funny. That's why I like using the dyad. A driver sent me a picture of a he was asking, they were sending a driver to help him because he's going to be his third 9.5. And every morning he's coming up, well, you're over dispatched, or not, you're over allowed. He's obviously over dispatched. You're over allowed, blah, 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 blah. First of all, he's not even on the clock yet. So I would just tell him to get lost, scram. But, or come get me. But, yeah, I wouldn't feed into that at all. I would just keep hitting them with the same thing. Fair day's work, fair day's pay. What? Well, the blah, blah, blah. Fair day's work, fair day's pay. And, yeah, when they start, like, it depends. Then they get frustrated and they start sending questionable stuff. So we have some questionable messages that were sent by management to an employee, and we're going to address that next week. It wasn't anything too bad, but, when you ask, you have to work right as instructed, because like I say, when you work they like to use that as a threat. When I work as instructed, I make more money. So, this driver said, well, what stop should I give him? And they're being smart asses saying, well, the route, blah, 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 give him what, No, he's asking what you want him to do, If you don't want him to be 9.5, then don't give him, 9.5 hours worth of work. I don't care what the plan says. If it takes him that long on a daily basis and you continually jam it down his throat and all of a sudden he has 295s and now you got to every day bother the guy about, and then send drivers from God knows where to do this and that to get him all. Just don't dispatch them then. They're like going out. Like I said, they go out, they flatten your tire in the parking lot. And then when you come out to leave work, they go, hey, you want me to help you fit? Well, don't flatten the tire in the first place. No, I don't want your help. At this point, you flatten the tire. Stop doing that. But, that's what they do. That's what they do. So, yeah, just keep it simple. Just give them blanket statements. They'll get tired of asking you. And don't use your phone. If it gets to the point where they're just bothering you and you're starting to get annoyed about it, then stop talking before start time. Stop talking before start time and stop answering. Don't use your cell phone. Put everything on the diet, because when I get screenshots of messages that get a little questionable, I mean, it's nothing like, obviously they're not going to. Well, I'm sure some places they do, but I haven't had a problem where they start cussing guys out and stuff, because that would be, that would be a really bad look, and they would have a problem with that for sure. But they can get, just like us, when they don't get the information out of us that they want, when you don't just spew a bunch of shit and like answer their questions the way they want them to answer. If you just like be very militant about it, fair days work, fair days pay. Well, we see it. When I ride with you, fair days work, fair days pay. Yeah, but when I ride with, no, fair days work, fair days pay. Is there a certain, specific moment you want to talk about? And we can talk about that, but they broad stroke everything. And they want you to get frustrated. So just keep hitting them with the same fucking line and let them get frustrated and then let them act out. And then we can file, over supervision, harassment, retaliation, whatever you want to do on them. Let them make a mistake. Don't you be the one make a mistake. Don't let them get to you. It doesn't really matter. It really doesn't matter. You go out, you work. They send you a message. Just be like, some very very minimal. Give them the least amount of information, because obviously when they're doing that, because obviously they're trying to get under your skin, and if it works, then they win. If you get under their skin because you don't give them back that, then you win. So do that. We had a lawyer, and one more thing, we had a lawyer at the meeting last, and I forgot to talk about this last time. We had a lawyer at the meeting. There's a law firm that the local has on retainer, and he had some very interesting stuff to talk about workers' comp laws, and especially for some of the older guys, because that's who gets hurt a lot. But his name was Michael Dryden. And they're out of like Rittenhouse. He was talking about with workers' comp in general was, when you get hurt at work, you're supposed to report it immediately. You get up to 120 days is the time frame. So when something happens, a lot of times you don't know how serious it is. Let's say you fall and you get hurt or you trip. And you kind of feel like I can just maybe take a day with like on the weekend, like a Friday, do a 3-day, try to like see if it goes away, so I don't have to report it. And because that's a big, it's like it's a pain in the ass. I get it. And sometimes you get a little roughed up, and you take a long weekend, you come back and you're fine. But sometimes you're not. So just remember that, if a week goes by and they go, oh, well, they start giving you shit about not reporting it immediately. Well, first of all, half the time they'll tell you, if you go up talk to them, that, oh, well, just take a few days, see how you feel. But the time limit is 120 days you have by law to report an injury. Now, you shouldn't wait that long at all. But when the company tries to say, you didn't report it immediately, just remember that the law, in PA at least, is 120 days. To report it. But yeah, I would not suggest doing that. I'm not a lawyer.
I know a lot about the law and various other lawyering.
So don't take this is not legal advice, but this is just the information I received from this guy. You should report it as soon as possible, because delaying to report it can forfeit in your rights. So yeah, do report it as soon as possible. Once you do report it, they'll have a list of for a workers' comp claim, a list of 6 doctors. You can pick which doctor you want to go to. I remember in the past, before I knew any better, way long time ago, one of the managers made me go to the place in King of Prussia, I think, because at that time they were known to kind of like look the other way at driver injuries or worker injuries and kind of just send them back without giving them proper care. So he would try to push everybody to go there. I live in Westchester, so the easiest one for me was Med Center or Fernhill. So in Exton and Westchester. But yeah, I remember the one time he very sneakily made me go up there, and of course it was like an ankle or something, I forget, but of course, you know, she was like, it's just whatever, you're fine, you know. But no, they have a list of 6 doctors. You get to choose which doctor that you want to use. That goes on for 90 days after your first visit, and after that 90 days you can seek your own care. And that's kind of how that goes. They're gonna, obviously they don't like reporting injuries, but by law they have to, so don't let them bully you out of it, which I don't really think they've been that bad about it recently. In the past, well, even just like past 5 or 6. I remember way long time ago, they would really try to bully you out of going to see a doctor. You know, they would, I think with social media, you know, they use it for telematics and stuff like that. But on the opposite end of that, they're aware that they can be recorded as well. So they got to be a lot more careful in what they say. Because, you know, when that gets out, it's not a good look, obviously, and it never was, but nobody had the opportunity to actually hear and see what went on in companies like that, at UPS, so they have to be a little more careful what they say. So I think they're a lot more lenient about, you know, not giving people shit about being hurt at work. But, yeah, usually, you know, workers' comp, if it's off the job, obviously it's off the job, and then it's disability, and that's a whole nother thing. So, but either way, you know, don't be scared to report an injury if there's something wrong, because it can compound and you can make it worse, and then you got a real problem. So I get it. Sometimes you get banged up and you're like, I'm pretty sure I'll be all right. And then, you know, you have to take a long weekend, and then Monday you're like, all right, I'm fine. But, you know, I remember my first peak, I worked with cracked ribs. We had the old 800s. And I was out in Landenberg, like a real rural route, in an 800 with no power steering, and it was real tight. The cabs were a lot tighter than they are now. The steps were a lot higher. It's stick shift, no power, nothing. And from turning that thing, going in these tight driveways with this big ass 800, and trying to turn and make like 80-point turns, because we didn't have telematics and shit back then. No bulkhead door sensors, no seatbelt sensors, anything like that. Not that I didn't use it, right? But yeah, you would go up in these driveways and make like 80-point turns with no power steering, these big ass trucks. And I remember I cracked a rib, and I was new, so it was my first peak, and I was like, I'm not reporting this. And I worked the whole peak with this excruciating pain. And with a cracked rib, they can't do anything anyway, but working with that kind of sucks, you know. But yeah, I worked the whole peak. I know for sure. I remember looking back at that, and I would never now. I would never. But you know, that's how you grow and you learn. Hey, it's morning, Matt. Didn't mean to scare you. I just wanted to mention one thing with that works comp thing that I forgot to mention, and that is, if you're nearing retirement and you get hurt, this is a very important fact. You know, and most people will do this, but make sure that you don't retire when you get hurt. Settle the workers' comp claim and then retire officially, because what they can do is use that money from the retirement fund, the pension that you're getting, as payment for your workers' comp claim. So a lot of guys get hurt at the end of retirement because they're old dogs, and stuff happens, right? So when you get hurt, make sure to settle the workers' comp claim. Don't tell them you're going to retire or thinking about retiring. Settle the work, because then they'll drag it out and fuck with you, most likely. So just settle the workers' comp claim, and then the next day come in and say, hi, I'm retired. Have your paperwork filled out with the union, because that's all done through them. But yeah, don't do that, because they'll use the money that you get from retirement as money paid from the workers' comp claim. So anyway, back to evening Matt. Sorry, morning Matt, didn't mean to scare you. See you. Well, yeah, hope you guys are having a good weekend. A little short video coming at you. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see you later. Peace.